Hey everyone, this is Nathan Williams with BlackRain79.com, and today we're going to talk about how to make $1,000 a month playing poker. Can you do it? Should you do it? Is it even possible in today's games? It's a question that I get asked a lot, so let's jump right into it. Before I get started though, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel here as I'm putting out brand new videos just like this on how to beat small stakes poker games in particular to help you guys out. So making $1,000 a month playing poker, is it even possible? Well, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, guys. It's pretty difficult. Like, there's very few people that are actually consistently making $1,000 a month playing poker. Some lower amounts, maybe $200 a month, maybe $500 a month. I'll probably make some videos on that in the future. It's a little bit more attainable, especially if you're a poker beginner. But, you know, to make $1,000 a month consistently playing poker, it definitely is going to require a large work ethic, playing consistently every single day, a reasonable amount of skill. Like, it's not going to be attainable for most poker beginners. And you're also going to have really good emotional control, because poker is a very up and down game and it's very easy to tilt. Like, a lot of people get frustrated, and that's something you can't do if you want to consistently make money at poker. Now, with all that said, I just want to get that out of the way. I am going to give you 5 tips to get you moving in the direction to hopefully start making $1,000 a month consistently in poker at some point, at least in the future. So let's jump right into it. All right, so tip number 1 is going to be to play low stakes cash games. Now, I have mostly played cash games throughout my poker career, and the reason why I would suggest them is because cash games have the most consistent money. Now, you can, if you're really into sit and goes or tournaments, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, you can obviously get a really big score really fast with those. But the problem is that it's not really consistent money. With most of the time with tournaments, you're gonna go weeks, sometimes months in a row without any kind of significant score. You're just gonna be out of the money a lot. You need to make it to the final table and really the top 3 positions in the tournament to get a real big payday. It's just not gonna happen. You have to get so lucky for such a long period of time throughout the entire tournament in order for that to happen. Whereas cash games, you're just consistently playing against a lot of the same players each day, and you're just sort of grinding it out, nickel and diming. You're gonna have some losing days still, but you're gonna have a lot more consistent wins with cash games. So if you're thinking about what format to play to consistently make money in poker, I would suggest cash games. So point number 2 would be to play at least NL10 and preferably NL25. Now, what do I mean by NL10, NL25? These are kind of terms we use, especially for online poker. NL10, I'm talking about the 5-cent, 10-cent cash games, and that's a maximum $10 buy-in. And NL25, that's gonna be a 10-cent, 25-cent blind cash game with a maximum buy-in of $25. Now, you're probably gonna ask yourself, how on earth are we gonna make $1,000 a month when we're only have like a $10 buy-in or a $25 buy-in? Well, that's simple. If you play online poker, it's about multi-tabling and volume. This is one of the biggest reasons why some people are able to make a reasonable income, such as $1,000 a month consistently with online poker. It's because they're playing multiple tables at once. For instance, if you're playing that NL10 game with a $10 buy-in, well, if you're playing 10 tables at once, I know that might sound a little bit crazy, but many people do it. I've done it myself. I have articles on my website teaching you step by step how to do that. But if you're playing 10 tables at once and you got a $10 buy-in on each table, you've essentially got $100 in play. So if you were to, you know, double your money, for instance, on all of those 10 tables, just as a hypothetical example, you would make $100 that day. We'd only need to do that, again, hypothetically, 10 days in a row to reach our monthly target. And the great thing, of course, is we're playing low stakes games that typically have a lot of bad players. Now, you can't play stakes that low if you're playing live in a casino. Usually the smallest buy-in is gonna be about $100 or so. But I would also suggest just starting in the cash games, the lowest stakes, usually a $1, $2, if you play live poker in the casino. All right, so tip number 3, if you want to try to consistently make $1,000 a month playing poker, is to play a tight and aggressive strategy. Now, what do I mean by that? I'm talking about being selective, highly selective with the hands that you decide to play pre-flop. You don't know what hands to play. I actually have charts, I'll put them up here, that are included in my free poker cheat sheet, which is the top link in the description below. It actually tells you exactly what hands to play specifically in a cash game. You can also use those in a tournament as well. So you're gonna have a tight starting hand selection. You're also going to be heavily biased to position, which I also talk about in my free poker cheat sheet. We're gonna be playing a lot more hands in the button, or on the button, in the cutoff, in the what we call the late position seats, and that's because you win the most money in those seats. And lastly, a tight and aggressive poker strategy is going to involve us betting a lot after we raise pre-flop. It's going to involve us remaining aggressive after the flop, betting for value a lot, but also making a lot of bluffs when it makes sense against the right kind of players. Overall, this is the strategy that I recommend the most because it puts maximum pressure on your opponents. They know that you've got a strong starting hand selection, you're only playing good hands, and you're not screwing around. So it basically puts a lot of pressure on them. It forces them to have something, and it allows you to maximize your winnings, especially in low stakes cash games. So tip number 4 to consistently make money in poker, this is something I've talked about many times before in these videos, is finding the tables with the fish on them. Guys, you gotta understand that poker is a game where you're playing against other people, and your profit is going to be in direct correlation to who is sitting at your table. I often make the comparison, like if you were the 6th best poker player on earth, but you decided to play in a game where the top 5 best poker players in the world are at your table, you're gonna be the fish in that game. They're gonna be making money off you. You need to understand that your profit is just, it's all relative in poker. So one of the biggest things that you can do before you even sit down is have a look who's at that table. It's more important than anything. Are there bad players who are displaying all the signs of a recreational player, limping a lot, calling with too many hands, chasing every draw, showing down bad hands, making really tiny bets that don't even make any sense. All the stuff I've talked about so many times here in the videos on this channel. Those are the kind of players you want to be playing against, because that, more than anything else that I say in these videos, is going to make your profits go up. Play against bad players, guys. It's more important than anything. My last tip for making money consistently in poker, $1,000 a month, is to try playing tournaments or sit and goes. Now, I know I mentioned off the top that I don't really recommend these for consistent money, but the thing is there are a lot of people that enjoy playing tournaments and sit and goes. I do myself sometimes, because there's definitely a level of fun to them. There's a fun factor that you can't really get in cash games, you know, especially, you know, the feeling when you're deep in a tournament, there's that shot of hitting a big score. But you just need to be ready for the variance. The thing is like I said, you're not going to consistently make $1,000 a month playing tournaments or sit and goes. One month, perhaps you might make $5,000. And then the next month you lose $1,000, and then you lose $1,000 again, and then maybe you lose $2,000 the next month, and then you have another plus $5,000 month. I think you understand what I'm saying. It's just not as consistent in those formats, and you just need to be prepared for that. All right, so as a kind of bonus tip here, let me just talk about, is poker a good way to make a sustainable income? Now, as I talked about off the top, guys, there's a lot of people who will sugarcoat it for you these days. I'm not one of them. Poker's difficult. You know, it's not easy these days. A lot of people have gotten better. You know, I started playing about 15 years ago, and there was a lot of, you know, everyone was a fish back then. Nobody knew really anything, like what they were doing. I was pretty bad myself, but it was a lot easier back then. And I always try to remind people that this is not an easy game, guys. If playing poker semi-pro or professionally were so easy, you know, a lot of people would be doing it. As I always try to point out, most people actually lose at poker. That is the cold, hard reality of the game. So for the vast majority of people, I do not suggest quitting your day job to go chase your poker dreams. Really, you need a trial run of, I would say, at least a year to prove to yourself that you're able to consistently make a profit in this games, and more importantly than anything, handle the variance, the mental part of this game, which is perhaps the most difficult of all, which is getting through the times when you just can't win a hand no matter what you do. There's gonna be time, even for world-class professionals, they go through weeks, months, and even years sometimes in the case of tournament players where they don't win. And nobody talks about that because it's not glamorous, it's not sexy, it's not fun. People want to be around winners, but nobody is a winner all the time in poker. And so is poker a good way to make a sustainable income? Well, not really. It's not like a real job. There is money in it. Poker is similar to investing, though. You need to understand there's going to be hills and valleys. Sometimes you're going to be, you know, on top of the world. Sometimes you're going to be, you know, feeling like you're the worst player, you're never going to win a hand again. You just need to be prepared for that. You know, you're looking for a regular paycheck. Poker's not your thing. It's better just to keep your day job. And also, let's talk about, can you be a professional poker player making $1,000 a month? Well, once again, this is going to really depend on you, your situation, and everything. There's a lot of people who live in low-cost countries that can make this happen. I live out here in Southeast Asia for almost a decade now, and the cost of living is a lot lower than in my native country of Canada, for instance. So, there are a lot of online poker pros out here, because $1,000 a month, in a country like Thailand, for instance, actually goes a long way. You can live a pretty good life. But, back in Canada or America or probably England, Australia, countries like that, $1,000 a month, I'm pretty sure that's like poverty line these days. You can barely survive. So it really depends on your situation. Do you have a family to support? All that kind of stuff. Typically, I would say for most people watching this video, $1,000 a month is only going to be a part-time income for them. And like I said, it's not easy these days with poker. All right, guys, so that's about all I got for this video. I hope this was helpful for you guys, and just giving you guys sort of the straight truth on my thoughts on making $1,000 a month playing poker. There's a lot of flashy stuff out there these days with people making it look like it's so easy, and I try to be that sort of opposite counterweight to give reality to people that no, it's not easy. If poker were so easy, everyone would be a poker pro, traveling the world, making it look, living the high life. But it's just not the reality of the game for most poker players. But I do think that poker's still definitely profitable for someone who's, dedicated to the game and takes it seriously and studies on the side and is willing to put in the hands on a regular basis as well, especially when things aren't going for you. So I'm going to have a lot more to help you guys with this stuff coming up on the channel here. So make sure you are subscribed, and also make sure you like this video if you found it helpful. And lastly, if you want to know my complete strategy for how I crush the micro stakes, specifically online, but also live as well, make sure you grab a copy of my free poker cheat sheet. It's the top link in the description below. And once again, it's about a 50-page little free ebook. You can read it in an afternoon, and that'll give you a step-by-step sort of plan on how to beat the small stakes cash games that are recommended in this video. And lastly, if you have any questions or comments, let me know in the comment section below. Do you make $1,000 a month playing poker? Do you think that that is something that is easy or doable these days? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. This has been Nathan Williams with BlackRain79.com.